I have devoted my entire professional career to meticulously studying the complex mathematics of the cosmos. But in all my decades, nothing, and I truly mean absolutely nothing, could have fully prepared me for the shocking anomaly that distinctly materialized in our advanced telescopes just 72 hours ago. Before we deeply begin this profound and unsettling journey of discovery, I need you to do something critically important for me. Before we begin, I need you to do something for me. Comment your city name below and tell me, have you noticed anything unusual in the night sky recently? Any objects that don't move like satellites? Please subscribe to the channel and join our membership so you can get daily updates. NASA is currently and very quietly monitoring comprehensive reports from civilian observers worldwide. And your seemingly simple data may be far more critical to our understanding than you currently realize. What I'm about to share with you may fundamentally, irrevocably change the way you perceive humanity's fragile place in the universe. My name is Dr. Michio Kaku, and for decades I've stood at the fascinating intersection of theoretical physics and the profound, almost existential questions that tend to keep us all intensely awake at 3 in the morning. These are the deep, persistent questions about parallel universes, about the fundamental fabric of space-time, and about whether we are in fact truly alone in this vast, cold, and silent cosmic ocean. I've always meticulously approached these difficult questions with the measured scientific optimism of a trained physicist. That is until now, because what so suddenly and startlingly emerged between Earth and the mysterious interstellar object designated as 3I Atlas has forced me to directly confront a possibility I've spent long years dismissing as premature speculation. Let me swiftly take you back to the significant month of November 2019. That's when Gennady Boris, a dedicated amateur astronomer in Crimea, precisely detected something extraordinary. An object designated 2I's Boris, which was only the second confirmed interstellar visitor to our solar system following the infamous cigar-shaped enigma Oumuamua. But 2I's Boris was noticeably different. It possessed a detectable, glorious tail. It behaved exactly like a comet, leaving a visible trail of gas and dust as it traveled through our local cosmic neighborhood. It was strange. Yes, but it was easily explicable. We could fit its behavior perfectly into our existing models, our equations, and our comprehensive understanding of how the universe naturally operates. Then came the definitive arrival of 33's Atlas. In March of this year, a team of professional astronomers using the powerful Asteroid Terrestrial Impact Last Alert System detected a deeply shocking anomaly. Another interstellar object, but this one was moving with extraordinary velocity through the inner solar system. Crucially, this one violated several fundamental expectations we firmly hold about objects traversing the vacuum of space. It had no detectable tail, no visible outgassing, and absolutely no comet-like behavior, despite traveling close enough to the immense heat of the sun that any volatile compounds should have been spectacularly vaporizing. The entire astronomical community collectively held its breath. We had certainly seen this pattern before with Oumuamua, that initial cigar-shaped enigma which inexplicably accelerated in ways that completely defied conventional physics, as if some unseen force were gently pushing it or perhaps actively guiding it. Harvard's famed A.V. Loeb suggested at the time that it might well be a light sail, a distinct piece of alien technology riding the solar wind. The scientific establishment dismissed him roundly. I, however, remained profoundly curious. But 3I Atlas proved itself different in yet another more significant way. Its complex trajectory was not following a simple hyperbolic path through our solar system. It was decelerating subtly at first. So subtly, in fact, that it required weeks of rigorous observation and data crunching to absolutely confirm what we were unequivocally seeing. An interstellar object was deliberately slowing down as it rapidly approached the inner solar system. And that, my friends and colleagues, is simply not something that happens naturally in space. I remember the conference call with NASA's Planetary Defense Coordination Office with vivid clarity. The silence on that international line was absolutely suffocating because we all understood the profound implication of that deceleration. It strongly suggested propulsion. It implied control. And most unsettlingly of all, it meant intelligence. And then just 17 days ago, everything we thought we knew fundamentally changed. The James Webb Space Telescope, JWST, humanity's most sensitive and sophisticated eye on the vast cosmos, was specifically tasked with getting a much closer look at the mysterious 3 Atlas. What it ultimately captured sent literal shockwaves through every single astronomical institution on Earth. Between our own planet and this enigmatic interstellar visitor, approximately 0.3 astronomical units AU from Earth, roughly the distance from Earth to the inner edge of the asteroid belt, something had appeared, something dark, something that had not been there in any of the previous comprehensive surveys. No visible tail, no reflection of sunlight, no heat signature beyond the ambient temperature of the void itself. An object roughly 2 kilometers in diameter, perfectly spherical in shape and absorbing nearly all electromagnetic radiation that touches it. It was a perfectly dark sphere, hanging ominously in the space between worlds, as if it had simply materialized from the quantum foam of reality itself. The initial tentative hypothesis was that it might be a rogue asteroid somehow recently ejected from the belt by gravitational perturbations. But the precise orbital mechanics did not support that simplified theory. This new object was not following any predictable Caparian orbit. It was performing station keeping, maintaining a fixed, unnerving position relative to both Earth and 3I Atlas, which itself was still steadily decelerating toward the inner solar system. 2 distinct objects, one slowing down as it purposefully enters our cosmic neighborhood, another completely appearing from nowhere to hover in the interstitial space between, both exhibiting behaviors that utterly defy natural conventional explanation. I want you to truly understand something critical about the universe we inhabit. Space is not empty. It is a seething foam of quantum fluctuations, dark matter, cosmic rays, and the faint afterglow of the Big Bang itself. When you point a telescope at any patch of seemingly empty sky, you fully expect to see something distant galaxies, beautiful nebulae, the cosmic microwave background. But this peculiar object is absorbing absolutely everything. Light, radio waves, infrared, X-rays, all of it completely disappears into that perfect sphere as if it were a physical wound in the very fabric of space-time itself. We now provisionally call these objects dark bodies, though that neutral term does not truly capture the existential weight of what we are collectively dealing with, because within 48 hours of the first detection, 17 more identical spheres appeared, not near Earth, not in our immediate vicinity, but scattered throughout the solar system in what appears to be a precise, undeniable geometric pattern. 1 near Mars, 3 precisely positioned in the asteroid belt, 2 beyond Jupiter's orbit, 5 strategically located at various Lagrange points, those gravitationally stable locations where objects can maintain fixed positions relative to larger bodies with minimal energy expenditure, and 4 more at the very edges of our conventional detection range, hovering at the boundary between the solar system and interstellar space. That's a total of 21 dark spheres, each identical in size and observed behavior, each maintaining perfect station keeping, and each appearing within a 72-hour window after the first was initially detected. The mathematical probability of this precise, large-scale coordinated deployment occurring naturally is so vanishingly small that it practically rounds to 0. We're talking about odds that make winning every single lottery on Earth simultaneously look exceedingly probable by comparison. No, this was deliberate. This was coordinated. This was a rapid, large-scale deployment. I've spent the last intense week consulting with specialized colleagues across every relevant discipline: astrophysics, quantum mechanics, aerospace engineering, even anthropology and linguistics. Because if these objects are definitively artificial, if they represent some highly advanced form of technology, we need to understand not just what they are physically, but what they mean. What complex message is being fundamentally sent by their mere pervasive presence? Dr. Sarah Seeger at MIT, one of our leading experts in exoplanet atmospheres and the search for biosignatures, told me something that has been resonating in my mind ever since. She said, Michio, in all our theoretical models for detecting extraterrestrial intelligence, we always assumed they would want to be found. We built enormous radio telescopes to listen for their signals. We sent golden records into the cosmic void. We shouted into the cosmic darkness, fully expecting an echo. But what if we've been fundamentally wrong about this core assumption? What if they've been silently watching us this entire time, patiently waiting for the right calculated moment to reveal themselves, not with a traditional greeting, but with a palpable warning? That unsettling word warning has been circulating through the very securest channels at NASA, ESA, and other space agencies worldwide, because the positioning of these dark spheres is demonstrably not random. They form nodes in a network, geometric points that, when mathematically connected, create a vast three-dimensional matrix encompassing our entire solar system. It's a precise pattern that appears time and again in our own technological designs, specifically in containment fields and quarantine protocols. Let me explain exactly what I mean. When we study dangerous infectious diseases, we immediately establish containment perimeters. We create zones of strict control to prevent spread. When we design nuclear reactors, we build massive containment vessels to isolate dangerous materials from the environment. When we simulate civilizations in advanced computer models, we create bounded spaces to observe their development without interference or escape. The exact pattern these objects have formed around our solar system is mathematically identical to a containment architecture. A cage, a barrier, a cosmic quarantine. But quarantine from what exactly? Or perhaps more chillingly, quarantine of what? The most singularly disturbing hypothesis came from Dr. Kevin Hand at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, a brilliant scientist who has devoted his career to the search for life in our solar system's ocean worlds. He suggested that we might be looking at this entire scenario backwards. We have assumed that Three Eyes Lass is the visitor, the outsider entering our territory. But what if we are the ones being contained? What if these dark spheres appeared not to study Three Eyes' atlas, but to ensure that we don't reach it? Think about that. Horrifying possibility. For just a moment, an interstellar object enters our solar system, something that has traveled through the cosmic void for potentially millions of years. And the very moment it begins deliberately decelerating toward the inner solar system, toward Earth specifically, a sophisticated network of containment nodes immediately materializes around us, not around it. What does that suggest about how we are perceived by whatever intelligence deployed these silent objects? Are we simply the experiment, the dangerous quarantine subject, the aggressive civilization that must be prevented from spreading beyond its cosmic cradle? I've always been an ardent optimist about humanity's ultimate place in the universe. I've written extensively about our future as a Type 1, Type 2, and perhaps eventually a Type 3 civilization on the vast Kardashev scale, harnessing the energy of our planet, our star, and eventually our galaxy. I've spoken with deep passion about the destiny of consciousness to expand, to explore, and to comprehend the fundamental mathematical beauty underlying all of reality. But what if we are fundamentally mistaken? What if consciousness, intelligence, technological capability, what if these things we rightly consider our greatest, most triumphant achievements are instead seen by the broader galactic community as an aggressive virus, a dangerous contamination that must be swiftly contained and controlled? There is a fascinating and terrifying concept in astrobiology known as the Great Filter. This is a hypothesis that attempts to explain why, in a universe so vast and ancient, we haven't detected any other technological civilizations. The core idea is that there must be some barrier, some unavoidable filter that prevents life from reaching the stage where it becomes spacefaring and visible across interstellar distances. The most terrifying question has always been, is the Great Filter behind us or ahead of us? Did we already successfully pass through the improbable bottleneck, or are we quickly approaching it now? What appeared 17 days ago may be our concrete answer. The Great Filter might not be a natural phenomenon at all. It might be artificial. It might be actively enforced. Let me share something that has been highly classified until very recently. The Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence SETI Institute has been monitoring a most unusual pattern of radio signals originating from the specific space region near 3I Atlas. Not from 3 Planes Atlas itself, but from the surrounding area it is currently traveling through. These signals are highly structured, repeating at very regular intervals, but they are emphatically not directed at us. They are not a simple message meant for human reception. They appear to be a high-volume data stream. Information is flowing between 3I's LAS and the new network of dark spheres that now critically surrounds our solar system. We cannot yet decode it. The mathematical complexity is several orders of magnitude beyond our current capabilities, but we can certainly detect it, and we can accurately measure its frequency, its bandwidth, and its intensity. And here is what truly consistently keeps me awake at night. The data flow intensified dramatically the moment we achieved a particular technological milestone, specifically when our quantum computers successfully demonstrated quantum supremacy, the point where quantum machines can perform calculations that no classical computer could complete in any reasonable time frame. That pivotal moment was September 2019. Within mere months, Umuma had come and gone. 2I, Borisov was detected, and the complex groundwork was being laid for precisely what we are witnessing now. It's as if our recent technological development triggered something, a response, a defined protocol, as if we crossed some invisible self-imposed threshold that absolutely required immediate intervention. Dr. Avibi, who has become something of a controversial figure for his unwavering willingness to consider non-natural explanations for cosmic anomalies, told me something truly profound during a private conversation just last week. He said, "Michio, what if the universe is far more strictly regulated than we ever imagined? What if there are fundamental rules enforced by civilizations so advanced we can barely comprehend them? What if one of those rules is that young, aggressive, unpredictable, and potentially dangerous civilizations must be confined until they prove themselves worthy of joining the galactic community? A cosmic probation, a test we didn't even know we were taking. The full implications of this are absolutely staggering. It would mean that our entire development, our history, our struggles, and our most cherished achievements have all been observed, evaluated, and ultimately judged. And the verdict has apparently been delivered in the distinct form of a complex containment field that now encircles our entire star system. But there is also another unsettling possibility, one perhaps even more terrifying. What if the quarantine is not about keeping us in? What if it's purposefully about keeping something else out? Stay with my reasoning here. 3. I-Atlas is slowing down, decelerating as it approaches us that suggests clear intent, purpose, and a specific destination. What if it's not a probe or a spacecraft in any conventional human sense? What if it's something else entirely? A cosmic infection, a dangerous form of intelligence that spreads between star systems like a devastating plague. And these dark spheres are an immune response deployed by some immense galactic defense network we've never been able to detect. In that frightening scenario, we are not the subject of quarantine. We are instead being protected. The dark spheres are not a cage keeping us trapped. They are a shield preventing something incomprehensible from reaching Earth. I truly do not know which interpretation terrifies me more profoundly. What I do know for a certain fact is this: the mysterious object between Earth and 3 Atlas, that first dark sphere detected, has clearly begun to change. The James Webb Space Telescope captured something truly extraordinary extraordinary just 48 hours ago. The surface of the sphere, previously perfectly smooth and featureless, is now distinctly exhibiting structure. Geometric patterns are emerging like complex circuits etching themselves into existence, glowing with a faint, consistent blue luminescence that strongly suggests some advanced form of energy circulation or computation. It actively activating, or perhaps awakening, or perhaps it was always active. And we are only now developing the sensor technology sophisticated enough to finally detect what it has been doing all along. NASA has urgently convened what they are formally calling the Anomaly Response Committee, a collection of the world's leading scientists, military strategists, and even philosophers and theologians. Because this is no longer just a scientific problem, this is unequivocally existential. This forces us to confront deep questions about our place in the cosmic hierarchy, about the fundamental nature of intelligence and consciousness, and about whether free will exists when more advanced civilizations can apparently appear and disappear at will, effortlessly restructuring a solar system's architecture overnight. I often think about the famous Fermi paradox, that famous question posed by physicist Enrico Fermi. Where is everybody? If the universe is so vast and so ancient, if life and intelligence are even remotely common, why haven't we detected any evidence of extraterrestrial civilizations? The galaxy should be teeming with them. We should see their technological signatures everywhere, megastructures, interstellar communications, evidence of stellar engineering. But we see only silence, a profound cosmic quiet that has puzzled scientists for generations. Maybe now we finally understand why. Maybe the galaxy isn't empty. Maybe it's occupied but strictly, sternly regulated. Maybe civilizations don't broadcast their presence because they're simply not allowed to. Maybe the universe operates under laws we've never detected, enforced by entities we've never even imagined, and every civilization reaches a point where they suddenly discover they're not as free as they believed. That pivotal point for us might well be. Now, I have dedicated my entire life to precisely understanding the fundamental forces that govern reality: gravity, electromagnetism, and the strong and weak nuclear forces. I've worked on string theory, on the complex mathematics of higher dimensions, on equations that describe the birth and death of universes. I truly thought I understood the core rules of the game we're playing. But these dark spheres, this network that appeared as if conjured from the void itself, operate by rules I do not recognize, a physics that seems almost deliberate, as if the very laws of nature themselves can be rewritten by a sufficiently advanced intelligence. Arthur C. Clarke once wisely said that any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. But what we are witnessing goes beyond mere technology. This is something that directly manipulates the fundamental substrate of reality itself. This is consciousness or intelligence operating at a level we can barely conceive, let alone explain. And that raises perhaps the single most profound question of all. What does consciousness become when it has millions or billions of years to evolve? When it spreads across galaxies, accumulating knowledge and capability for spans of time that utterly dwarf human history? Does it even remain recognizable? Does it retain anything we would call personality, motivation, or ethics? Or does it transform into something else entirely, a force of nature unto itself as fundamental to the cosmos as gravity or entropy? I think about my own consciousness, my own distinct awareness of being aware, that strange recursive loop that allows me to think about thinking, to question my own existence and purpose. It seems so utterly miraculous, so statistically improbable. And yet here I am, here we all are, conscious beings on a unique planet that somehow assembled the precise, delicate conditions for consciousness to emerge. But maybe consciousness isn't rare at all. Maybe it's inevitable, woven into the deepest mathematical structure of the universe itself. Maybe it emerges everywhere the conditions allow, like perfect crystals, forming in a super-saturated solution. And maybe, just maybe, it's all connected. A universal consciousness expressing itself through countless individual nodes, each one a unique perspective on the same underlying reality. If that is true, then what so suddenly appeared around our solar system might not be separate from us at all. It might be us, or an aspect of what we are all ultimately destined to become, reaching back through cosmic time to either guide or perhaps severely constrain our development at this critical juncture. The dark sphere nearest to Earth is now distinctly emanating a strong signal. Not radio waves, not anything on the electromagnetic spectrum we normally monitor. It's a gravitational wave, a direct ripple in space-time itself, oscillating at a frequency that precisely corresponds to. And this is where it becomes almost poetic, the hydrogen line, that fundamental frequency at which hydrogen atoms absorb and emit radiation, the most abundant element in the universe, the building block of stars, the element that fills the cosmic void. It's a universal constant, a frequency that any technological civilization would immediately recognize because it's profoundly written into the fabric of chemistry itself. They are speaking to us in a language we cannot fail to notice. Even if we don't yet understand the full message that's being conveyed, teams at the Laser Interferometer Gravitational Wave Observatory, LIGO, are working tirelessly around the clock to successfully decode this intricate signal. Early analysis strongly suggests it's not random. It clearly contains structure, repetition, and what might be complex mathematical sequences. It is undeniably a message or a warning or perhaps even specific instructions. But here's the detail that haunts me most. The signal is also being broadly broadcast outward toward the edge of the solar system and beyond toward 3I Atlas. And whatever lies in the interstellar deep, it's a beacon, a loud, clear announcement, a stark declaration that says something significant is happening here. Something is emerging or has been irrevocably discovered. Pay attention. We are actively being discussed. We are being evaluated. Decisions are actively being made about us by intelligences we cannot see, using criteria we do not understand, with consequences we can only begin to imagine. I think about all the pivotal times throughout human history when we have faced existential challenges, moments when our collective survival hung precariously in the balance. The invention of agriculture, the development of writing, the Industrial Revolution, the nuclear age. Each major transition brought us progressively closer to this very moment, building the technological and intellectual capacity necessary to finally understand what is now being revealed. Everything we've achieved, everything we've learned has been preparation for this. We just didn't know it. And now, as I look anxiously at the continuous data streaming in from telescopes around the world, from satellites monitoring the dark spheres, from quantum computers desperately attempting to decode the gravitational signals, I feel something I very rarely experience: genuine uncertainty about humanity's future, not pessimism. I've never been a pessimist, but a profound uncertainty.